Here's lesson 3-5, which is all about complementary and supplementary angles, which hopefully you have at least heard of them before. You should have covered them basically back in pre-algebra. Not necessarily last year in algebra, but when you started talking a little bit more about geometry. So hopefully by the end of this you are going to be able to say that you know the difference between complementary and supplementary angles. Hopefully you already would know that. But then the new part of it basically is I know that complements of the same angle are equal and supplements of the same angle are equal, which we'll get into those theorems here in just a little bit. But to start off with just kind of some definitions, remember that two angles are what we call complementary if their sum is 90 degrees. And so if we add those two angles together, that they would add up to a right angle or a 90-degree angle. Just know that when we talk about these two angles, we call them basically complements of each other. And as I stated before, because the sum of the two angles is 90 degrees, the complement of the angle is found by subtracting the angle from 90, which kind of makes sense. Whereas if I know that one angle is equal to, say, 15 degrees, and I know that I want to, if I'm asked to figure out basically the complement of that, I would just do 90 minus 15 for my answer, which would then of course be 75 degrees. And so to kind of help just with complementary angles, just kind of to visualize, I'm going to bring up just a website here in just a second. So here's kind of a neat applet that I found, which basically allows me to manipulate these equations however I want. So if I can take C and I can drag it, basically what we're saying is that angle B or angle ABC is a complement of angle DEF. And as you can see, as I basically drag one smaller, the other one gets bigger, and if I get it really, really close, like I do, say, 1 degrees, right, you can obviously see that if I add 1 plus 89, I'm going to get my 90 degrees, which is stated up here. And so if I can drag it all the way out too, and I can drag this one all the way out to 89, or I can do 90, and as you just saw, if I drag it any bigger than that, obviously this stays 0 because it's not complementary, because basically the two need to add up to, it can't be subtract up to. So basically if I keep dragging this even more and more and more and more and more all around the circle to about 360 degrees or 359, alright, I still don't get anything until all of a sudden I go back to 0, which then creates the other. If this angle here is 0 degrees, then this angle here has to be 90 because then they add up together. Heading back to our PowerPoint, our next definition, which I want you to write down, is that two angles are supplementary if their sum is 180 degrees. So complementary is 90 degrees, supplementary is 180. One way you can possibly remember that is complementary comes before in the alphabet, and so 90 degrees comes before 180. So C comes before S in the alphabet. I don't know if that'll help, but maybe you can come up with some other reason too and let me know. But as just like the other one are complements of each other, each angle, if they are supplementary, if we add them together, then would be supplements of each other. And so again, we would, to figure out one of the angles, if we knew it was a supplement of the other, we would take 180 and we would subtract out that angle. And so I have another website to possibly look at here. And this website is now supplementary, so if we take a look, 55 plus 125 is equal to 180, and so I can again take this and drag it, and the other angle would get bigger as mine gets smaller, or if I drag it the opposite way, it would just get all the way out to 180 degrees, and the other one would get really, really, really close to 0 as I go there. And of course, if I get bigger than 180 degrees, it would say it's not supplementary as I go all the way around until I get back to my 0 degrees there, which then pops it all the way to the other side, or at least pops DEF all the way out to 180 degrees or close to it. The first theorem that's going to be really important for us is basically what the book calls Theorem 3, but I don't want you to quote it as Theorem 3. What I want, if it actually calls for that, I'd like you to actually write out, which is complements of the same angle are equal to each other. So again, if I have two angles and I know that they're complements of each other, and I know that two other angles are complements of each other, and one of the angles overlaps, then I know that one of the angles, complements of the same angle, are equal. So for example, if 1 and 2 are complementary, meaning they create a 90-degree angle, as you can see, and I also know that 2 and 3 are complementary because they create that 90-degree angle, I know that basically 2 is the overlap. So 2 is the same angle. So 1 is a complement of 2, and 3 is a complement of 2 as well. So complements of the same angle, meaning both of angle 2, are equal, which meaning so 1 is equal to 3. Vice versa, kind of the same situation, is supplements of the same angle are equal to each other. So if we take a look, I know that 56 and 124 are supplements of each other, and I would say then that this angle MGN 56 is also supplementary to angle JFO. Then I would know that JFK and MGN are equal to each other because they are complements of the same angle there. And last, I'm going to leave you with just a complementary and supplementary game, which you might want to try. I have the link down on the description part of the YouTube link, and so hopefully you'll be able to find that. This isn't anything that necessarily you need to write down, but it's something that maybe you want to check out and just play around with it for a little bit. So I'm going to show you that here in just a second. Here's the game that basically, if you check on the website, it brings you up to this page here, and you would say start game, and what it would be was basically it'd say, okay, 64, and you're trying to see over a period of time basically how much you can actually get. So if I know that these two create a right angle, I know they're complementary of each other. So 64, let's see, if I guessed, just for example, if I said, oh, I think it's 5, obviously it's going to tell me, no, that's incorrect. So if I actually try it, no, that's wrong. All right, the two angles are complementary. Okay, so it gives me a little hint. So then I would think to myself, okay, 90 minus 64, let's see here, that would be equal to, let's say, 26. Let's see if I'm correct on that one. Yay, I'm correct. All right, so then I would go to the next one, and I would just figure that out there. So level 1 is complementary angles. Maybe level 2 will then be supplementary. I don't know. You find out. So thanks again for listening in, and again, if you want to try this, all right, the link will be in the description part of the YouTube video. Okay, so we will see you next class period. Have a good rest of your night. We'll see you later. Bye.